Thanks, Margie. Hello, everybody. As Margie mentioned earlier, I'm the Natural Resource Manager for the Cincinnati Park Board. And just a little bit about Cincinnati. We have a population of about 350,000 people, but we have a very extensive park system. We have about 5,000 acres of park forests and 85,000 street trees. So we just lost the screen. In 2007, we found that we have emerald ash borer inside the city limits. And with our 5,000 acres of parks and 85,000 street trees, we had about 10% of those park trees were ash, and about 7.5% of the street trees were ash. So we realized right away that we were going to have an enormous problem on our hands, not just with dealing with the EAB and getting the trees down, but what to do with the wood waste. And it's always been our policy to try to find the highest and best use for all of our wood products, whether that's firewood or, we tub grind it into mulch, or we, in the past, have sold it to people who made handles for tools and things like that. So we quickly realized that it was going to be a problem for us managing the wood, and so we put together a task force that was kind of representative of everybody who deals with waste and with forest products. So here, that was our Urban Forestry Advisory Board. The University of Cincinnati has a very active person there named Sam Sherrill, who actually wrote a book called Harvesting Urban Timber, Complete Guide. I strongly recommend that if you're looking at some options for your community. Sam was on, as well as the ODNR forester for our area, Wendy, and the Hamilton County Solid Waste Department. So we went into it with a very open mind. We knew that we needed to come up with some solutions that would work for Cincinnati. And we came up with a series of goals, which were to divert the valuable wood from being ground into mulch and put it to the highest use, provide quality lumber at below market cost so that we could be very competitive with the market. Some of the LEED things, removing carbon and assisting with LEED certification for local materials and repurposing. And we wanted to have a percentage of the proceeds go back to plant new trees along our streets and in our parks. So we looked, first of all, at species. Obviously, we had a large number of ash. The only other street tree that really, when you're done with it as a street tree, that you can make something out of it is typically oak. They do compartmentalize pretty well, and there are a pretty reasonable percentage of oak trees that have to be removed over time, through attrition, through dying, whatever, that we can repurpose back into the wood program. Some other trees that we wanted to look at were walnut, just because of the value of the wood, and cherry also falls in that category, but also Osage orange and black locust, because they are naturally rot resistant and can be used as a substitute for pressure-treated lumber in some situations. So our first big challenge was that the state of Ohio was under quarantine, and there are no sawmills in Cincinnati. The nearest one is just outside the state boundary line in Indiana. So, and they'd been a partner with us before. So we had to figure out how to get the wood there under the quarantine. And while you can get waivers, there were some obstacles to that. So what we finally settled on was to write a contract to have a portable sawmill come to actually mill the wood, take the bark off of it, and then we could move it then over to the sawmill for processing. So the next part of it was, how do we create a market? It's great to have the wood, it's great to have it dried and processed, but then what do we do with it? Well, we, as part of the collaborative process that Steve had mentioned, we found a partner. Our school district was undergoing a massive rehab project. There were a lot of buildings that were being rehabilitated, some were being torn down, and a lot of new ones were being built. And within those, we have a series of magnet schools that are Montessori-based. And there was a need to create furniture for those Montessori rooms that could be flexible. It could be moved around and used in different configurations so that students could share room space, but it wouldn't be, furniture that would be in the way. So we formed a partnership with the Cincinnati Public Schools and actually created an MOU between us that spelled out how this would work, and that when we were done supplying the wood, that Cincinnati Public Schools would pay us $1 for every board foot of lumber that was used that we would use back for reforestation. So we partnered with a contractor, had a mill. It was about 40 cents per board foot to actually mill it. They came to our marshaling yard where we were hauling logs, and it was stacked, and then it was hauled to the lumber yard where it was flagged and then stickered and then kiln dried at the sawmill. Then it was glued into panels, 18-inch wide. It was primarily ash, but some oak was also used. And then it went to a second-party vendor. It's called River City Furniture, who was a minority business enterprise vendor who actually built the furniture to the specifications of Cincinnati Public Schools. They would finish it and install it in the rooms. And these are what the cabinets look like. They're on wheels. They can be moved around from room to room and could be used as lockers and also bookshelves. I think you can see the wheels at the bottom. So this partnership lasted for 4 years, and then Cincinnati Public Schools had enough of the shelving units, and over those 4 years we supplied 40,000 board feet of lumber, mostly ash, but some oak also. So we brought back about $40,000 back to replanting trees along our streets and in our parks, and the wood met our goals of going to a higher, better purpose. And many of the buildings that were built were LEED silver category, and partially because of repurposing our wood. So what next? We had lost our market, and so we had to come up with a different use. So we decided upon making flooring. The flooring was something that we could do. We didn't need the third-party vendor. So we worked out an agreement with the sawmill. And the way it works is we actually hauled the logs to the same storage yards where we used to. But now the lumber company comes. The quarantine has been moved to west of the lumber yard. So now the wood can be moved with bark on it to the sawmill. So the mill operator comes, picks up the logs in his truck, takes it to the mill, and mills it, stickers it, and dries it, and stores it. And then when we get orders for flooring, he actually mills it into the dimensions that the customer asked for. So mostly we're doing ash, but we also have white and red oak that we're selling as flooring. And then we also have a spec for Osage orange, white oak, black locust that can be cut into 4x4, 6x6s, or other dimensional lumber for use for trails and outdoor applications. This is typically not dried. It's rough sawn. And the flooring can be milled 3/4 inch thick, tongue and groove, but it can be milled into 3, 4, 5 inch width, or a mixture of all three. So these are our prices from the sawmill. I apologize if you can't quite read it, but it's $2.10 to mill flooring in random widths. That's per square foot of finished flooring, and 3, 4, and 5, 1/3 of each. So that's picking up the log, taking it to the mill, milling it, drying it, and then making it into flooring a random width. It's $2.60 for all 3-inch or all 4-inch or all 5-inch because it's not quite efficient for them to get the lumber out of to get the wood out of the log. So, and again, we get $1 back on that. So the cost to buy random width 3/4 inch tongue and groove flooring is $3.10 to the end buyer. And then a very small amount for milling the Osage orange and black locust. And so we started marketing it. We came up with this flyer. For a while we had a website up, and we have been able to sell pretty much everything that we've cut. We have a little bit of white oak and a little bit of red oak right now, but we have sold all of our ash. And this is what one of the floors looks like. This went into a residential home. We've also supplied lumber for a couple of commercial applications, one of a nearby university, and to also some other floor refinishers. So the other part is something that we all have a need for, is natural materials for use in our parks. This is Osage orange that was just debarked and used as part of a trail application. I think that in the future, I think that people are going to be looking for things like Osage orange and black locust that are a natural alternative to pressure treated. These are, we call them steppers, but this is a playground area that people can climb on. These are black locust logs that were just debarked, and I think they were treated with Penafin and sunk in the ground. So our hope is that these will last at least 20 years. And if you think this stuff can't look good, this is a bridge, a trail bridge that was built by an Eagle Scout out of Osage orange. The whole bridge is constructed of Osage orange. It was provided by the sawmill. Very inexpensive, and we expect this to last at least 30 years. And lastly, this is our universally accessible treehouse. It's in Mount Airy Forest. And the ramps and most of the materials inside the treehouse are natural materials constructed from trees in our park system. So the treehouse itself is built attached to live trees, but the ramp system that goes up to it is constructed on black locust posts that were debarked by volunteers. Some of them are up to 30 feet long, and those posts support the series of ramps that make the grade work out to 3% for people in wheelchairs. It's been very well received in the park system. So that's all I have slide-wise. Just a couple of points I want to make. Steve did a great job of explaining the need for leadership, commitment, and collaboration. This is a lot of work. It is constant work. There are always issues to work out. It takes a lot of time to make sales to people, to work out issues logistic-wise, a lot of coordination with the sawmill. You have to have somebody that's good to work with, that's open-minded, and you can't quit. We had it worked out. We were selling everything to Cincinnati Public Schools. It was working very smoothly, but in the end, we supplied enough. We met their needs, and then we had to go find another product. So it's a constant process, and it just takes a lot of work. The other thing I want to say is that you also have to identify other markets or outlets. For example, we have a sewer project that's going through one of our parks, and there's going to be a number of black locust trees that are coming out. We really don't want to mill that into flooring, so we are going to have it processed and dried, and then we're going to sell it as to a local company. It's called Building Value. They repurpose building materials, doors, windows, those kinds of things from old buildings that are being torn down. And they have in the past sold the lumber for us to people who doing projects with it. So we hope that we can get a better return on investment than just the $1 per square foot for the black walnut. In the past, we've gotten between 3 and 4. So you have to be creative, you have to be flexible, and you can't give up. It's just a lot of work. And with that, I think I'm finished.